Welcome, everybody, to American Hammers TV. You've got two DC Irons on live right now. It's Saturday. It's noon. Saturdays don't really feel like Saturdays anymore because of quarantine. It's like, okay, it's just another day.
You want to know what I've been saying to people?
What's that?
I feel like, so the week starts on Sunday, but for me during the work week, it goes Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's like there's 3 Wednesdays during the week.
Yeah, okay. I see it. I know you're working, like, actually going out on site, unlike me, who's working at home. So
I'm out in the front line.
Right. Do you want to explain what you do, or not really?
Nah.
Okay.
I serve the people of Virginia.
There you go. So we're going to do a brief show. It's not going to be one of these 1 or 2 hour long podcasts. We're doing an update on the academy situation right now. We're going to focus on Jeremy Ngakia because that's who most of the conversation is centered on. It's kind of a ridiculous situation when we get into it. But there's a couple other academy kids who we stand to lose. And we would just kind of want to update and put everything out there all at once, go over it, give our takes on it, and that'll be the show. This is purely a news update, academy update. There's transfers we could go over, but I feel like they do that in quite a few shows. And that's an easy thing. And it's also very, very speculative. Whereas what's happening with these contracts, they're done. They end in June. So this is a real life situation that is actually happening. Whereas, whether we're signing that what is it, Garassi kid from France, that's all speculative at this point.
Yeah.
So before we go to Ngakia, there's two other kids whose contracts are up, who are really considered high value prospects. They're still really young, 15, 16. One, it looks right now like he might sign. That's the most recent update. His name is Dan Chesters. Dan Chesters is a midfielder, and
wish I could say I heard of him.
Right. It says, according to Football Insider, he's close to agreeing new terms on a contract. It's also according to X. So, I don't know who said it first, but he's on a scholarship deal. He's 18. Again, he's highly coveted. I think just turned 18. So he's someone who could potentially be in the first team, or he could be a Josh Cullen who only gets preseason action and never actually plays. We don't know, but he's the most likely to agree a new deal. And then there's a kid that this is an article from the Sun. So, Sun is less reliable, but it's been shown elsewhere. It's been reported elsewhere. This kid we have who's 16, his name is interesting.
I'm going to go Benicio Baker Boetti.
Yeah, Triple B. I wonder if he's got a nickname around the letter B, because Benicio Baker Boetti. So he's being looked at by Barcelona, Man United, and Bayern Munich.
I feel like that happens all the time with our academy.
Exactly. So is this another Dominguez Quina? And I think he's the perfect example to look at, to have this conversation, because has Dominguez Quina played well for Watford? Yeah. Has he made a lot of appearances? Has he taken a hold of the first team? Not exactly. But that's the kind of conversation we heard about Dominguez Quina.
But that is like the kind of player you sort of wish, I wish we could have held on to him for another year or two to see what happened. Kind of like with Fernandez.
Yeah.
But what can you do? These people are after us, man.
Right. And I think with Quina, the situation was the agent was very aggressive. And was known for doing that. And he had a couple other players whose contract situations he stirred up. So actually, this is not an exclusive Sun source. Their reporting is from a German source, and that's where the Bayern Munich interest is. And apparently earlier in the year, PSG and Red Bull Leipzig were all interested in this kid who's been capped at the under 16 level for England as well. He's only made 2 appearances for our U18 team this season.
Yeah, and apparently Patrick Kluivert's a big fan.
You see that somewhere? That's in the other part. Yeah. He wants to bring him to the La Masia Academy, and he compares him to Douglas Costa. So geez, that's if we can you imagine if we had Douglas Costa, like that makes a significant difference in our team. So if there's any truth to that, I hope we hold on to this kid.
You think we'll have no idea?
I have no way to know if he's going to be any good or not. But you know, when you see those names there, those big clubs, could they have made all that up? Like, is it purely an agent? That's a lot of clubs to be naming.
Yeah.
But I mean, I at this point with social media and the way things are set up, I could see an agent just like through their own digital ways, like
and apparently Liverpool
like getting rumors. Too. Liverpool want to. Okay, so we have a superstar in the making. He's 16, and he's probably going to leave. I think we're gonna keep Chester's, and we'll see what happens to this.
It's reported that he does not want to sign on with the Hammers when he turns 17 next January. So goodbye.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably had his head turned. And then it seems to me, and this is where we can get into Ngakia, that we are not doing ourselves any favor with, I think, the pay structure or
our pay structure has always been horrible. So, I mean,
our pay structure is problematic for the first team. But if this kid, you know, is making pennies on the dollar, minimum wage, which is oftentimes what a scholarship is, he's only played 2 U18 games. But if he is vetted by the scouting, see, this is the problem. When you don't have any scouts, how can you then tell management or the chairman, we really love this 16-year-old? I think we have one scout. I believe earlier in the year we had 3. Championship teams have 10. So
any other club has at least, I feel like at least 8.
Right. And so my question is, how are we evaluating our kids, and how are we determining, you know, does this kid actually deserve a couple thousand a week now? Is this kid ready to train with the U21s? Who's making those decisions? Because if you only employ a couple scouts, that gives me the sense you're not taking it seriously, and you would rather spend low transfer fees on kids who have developed more in Greece or France, like we've done. It works with Lanzini.
Yeah.
But for every Lanzini, there's a Tony Martinez. There's a couple of those, the 3, 4, 5 of those for every time you do unearth a gem. And we used to be known as the Academy.
You know, that's always bothered me, sort of, ever since following West Ham. Like, I feel like we unearth them and then we never let them shine. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. I don't think Nathan Holland would be ready to play in the Prem, but I feel like he should have gotten like a couple cracks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Sean Hanley's spot on. They're pinching money wherever they can. Like, they do everything on the cheap, it seems. Even when it comes to redeveloping the training ground or things of that nature. You know, and hopefully that their day will end soon. But until then, we've got this situation. And I know that a lot of most Hammers didn't like Terry Brown's tenure.
Yeah.
But at least Terry Brown oversaw a successful academy.
Yeah.
Which is not exactly something that we've really had. I mean, Declan Rice was really Chelsea's academy, and then we picked him up a little bit later on. But Ngakia, so when it comes to the Ngakia contract situation, we decided before the show started that we're not going to actually quote any numbers, just kind of out of respect. And
because we don't know.
Yeah. So not only do I not know the actual numbers for sure, but if you're posting numbers as if you know the numbers, you know, I don't know how that's necessarily helpful.
I wouldn't want that business out there.
No. And so it doesn't, if these numbers are true, it doesn't make the club look good. As I said earlier, when you're on a scholarship, it's not a real salary. It's a bit like, you know,
like having a side job.
it's like doing the Peace Corps or the AmeriCorps, volunteering. You're gonna get you get like a stipend, but you're not really paid, and so that's what Ngakia is on.
Yeah, which sucks because I mean the kid how many games did he play? 4?
4, but he had Mane in his pocket, as some might say.
That was kind of like the same with Reese Oxford, Declan. Their first games, they come in and they just absolutely boss the pitch.
Well, one of those can't even handle. He can't even get a start for Augsburg. But it seems to me like, one of the closest things to scout that we have is Zabaleta, and Zabaletta's really taken him under his wing and praises him publicly and is a big fan of his, and I think has probably helped him quite a lot this season. And I'll take his kind of vibe and word for it.
Yeah.
This kid can be good. And so pretty much we offered him a derisory number. He wants more. The number that I will quote is X has said that it's nowhere near 20,000. I think it was the Mirror or the Sun, one of those tabloids, said something about he's waiting for 20,000. It's not that. It's not nearly that. And I think he's asking for a reasonable amount of money when you consider how much Declan Rice was on when he was 8. I think Ngakia is 19 or 18. Hold on. He's 19.
Just turned 19, I think.
So he's pretty much asking, can I have what Declan Rice was having at 19?
Which at any other club would not be a problem.
Exactly. And I can hear a devil's advocate again saying he's only played the 4 games.
But those 4 games, I mean,
but it's not just those 4 games. He was consistently part of the U23 team and teams before that, right? You're when you're 18 and you're starting for the U23s, that means you're almost ready for the first 11. And then he showed he was ready in the first 11. And so you're absolutely spot on that this is not a problem at any other club.
I don't know. So I get the whole like beginner's luck maybe, or like a few good runs, but I mean, you can't start off much hotter than Mane in your pocket against Liverpool. Like you can't really up that.
Yeah, but Oxford had Ozil in his pocket.
Oh,
and so you can see this in 2 ways. You can say Ngakia is going in the Reese Oxford direction, and his ego is going to get inflated. Maybe that means he doesn't train as hard. Maybe he doesn't develop to his full potential, and maybe he becomes Reese Oxford. The other way you could see it is our ownership is pinching over 5,000, 10,000 pounds, a small amount when you consider the grand scheme of things, and that he is actually entitled to be paid like a living wage because he doesn't have that right now.
Like, think about it. What do you think? Like, do you think like Guendouzi at Arsenal is still on like some sort of like prospect contract?
No, Guendouzi's got to be on at least 10K because it's Arsenal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
and my friend Travis brings up this good point about Ben Johnson. Do we view Ben Johnson as like this insurance at right back, and that's why we feel like we can give flimsy offers to Ngakia? Zabaleta's gone. Fredericks isn't going to cut it. Why is it? What is it? How is it problematic to have 2 promising right backs?
Yeah,
one's going to get hurt. They train at Rush Green. Yeah. They're going to get hurt. So it doesn't hurt to have 2 of them,
especially at our club.
And I've always heard, and I don't know how accurate it is because I'm not at training, that Ben Johnson may be able to play left back. I don't know how much experience he has there, but I've read that in different places.
The word on the street is that he can play both left and right back.
So then put him at left back.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's like I said just a moment ago, this is West Ham United. At this point, with our injury history and our luck, we need studs at positions, multiple studs at each position. And when Ben Johnson came in and played, we were all ranting and raving about how well he played. So, I mean, if Ngakia does walk, I mean, I personally still have faith in Ben Johnson.
I really liked what I saw of Ben Johnson, the little bit that I did see when he was on the first team. And the latest update is that he is fit and training with everybody else. It's kind of a lost season for him, unfortunately. Crucial development time, but he's back. He's training. So, and he does look more menacing physically. He's taller. He's a little stronger. He almost looks like a center back. So I wonder I'm actually really excited to see how he develops. I think he's going to be a big part of what we do in the next few years.
I really hope I've always been an advocate for academy kids. 'Cause, I just feel like they, like we said earlier, we unearth them. And then in my personal opinion, I don't think we give them a fair shout. I get it. Nathan Holland in a cup game. I would love to see that. But the way he's been playing at Oxford, that one goal he had against, I think it was Newcastle, the volley.
Yeah.
I mean, dear God, man. I know the likelihood of that happening in a actual Premier League game is so low, but I mean, the kid's got stuff, and we have at least 2-3 other people in our academy that I know for a fact not only are going to bring some heart, but maybe a little bit more upside and passion on the pitch than some players that
I'm excited about Nathan Holland as well. I think he could easily come in and take Yarmolenko's place. And if I was working with a very small Sullivan budget, that's how I would view it. I would say, okay, who are my most promising academy kids? I'm not going to invest in those positions. So I'm actually not going to spend money on right back. I'm not going to spend money at Holland plays both positions, doesn't he? Isn't he more at right mid?
Yeah.
But you're thinking he could take Yarmolenko's place. You sell Yarmolenko. I'm spending all of my money on midfield. Yeah, Diangana's coming back as well. So spend all the money on center midfield, please, please. Whatever it is we have. But Huss here has your whole premise is wrong, Huss, because you're wondering if we have any scouts, plural. We've got one.
We might have that one.
So it's not even possible. He might. Is he there? Maybe he's there. I don't know. But at most we've got one scout. And I don't think we're shopping in the Bundesliga. I think we're going to shop in the Championship and in France and get a free transfer or two, and that'll be it. Maybe there'll be a surprise from Turkey or something, but I'm thinking just France and Championship is pretty much who we're going to buy from.
Yeah, the surprise will be 5 payment installments and not 4.
Right. So I guess in general, and I'm still looking at the chat here, what does it say about our priorities and the amount of money being invested in the team if we are going back and forth over a few thousand like this?
It's
in a deal with a kid who's clearly promising, and he's not asking for 20K like Oxford did. He's not. X has confirmed it.
I mean, for Christ's sake, man. If this is an 18-year-old, 19-year-old who got brought up to play, and he pockets Mane, and then literally has 3 good consecutive games in a row. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the standard is, but I'll just throw a number out there. This isn't speculated or anything, but I feel like with that kind of start in the future that he might have, because he's obviously promising from what we've seen.
Yeah.
10,000 pounds. That's
not asking a lot.
That should literally be chump change to us.
Yeah.
Which apparently it's not.
Yeah.
And that just shows how immature and
when you consider that he was not making anything this year, it's almost like paying him back for.
That's what I'm saying.
The game against Mane alone is worth 100K.
Give him his time and a half. Give him his time and a half times 10.
So Kent Hammers here. They're the second to confirm now. I see in the chat that Ben Johnson actually can play both sides. I do still think right fullback is probably his preference. He's probably right-footed, but there's obviously way more right-footed left backs than there are left-footed right backs. some people are saying give him an incentive-based contract. It might be too late for that. We might have insulted him with the first offer. We could have offered him. So he's nowhere near what Rice was making at his age before Rice's contract extension. So that's where you start, and then give incentives. You don't start the conversation with incentives. You don't start at a super low insulting number and then say, well, but if you start 50 games, you'll make an extra 60,000. Yeah, this is not the NFL here.
Yeah, I just feel like, just like a schlub on the couch, me. Like, I feel like there's so many ways you can work around like a contract like that with a youngster. Like I said, I'm throwing out random numbers just in my own thought, no speculation. Like, this could have easily been solved. One, just giving him 10,000. That would have just been done and over. But like, if you really wanted to like penny pinch, but like reasonably, offer him 5,000 pounds and then give him some sort of like, let's say 250 pounds, 500 pounds, like per start.
Yeah.
Like, easy as that, because at least at that point, like Sullivan's be like, all right, Moise, can't have this guy start this game. You might be hurting my pockets a little bit. But you're at least giving him 5,000 from 150 pounds to 5,000 pounds a week. Obviously substantial. And then that's substantial.
It's substantial to everyday people.
Yes.
Regular working people, which is what West Ham fans are, but it's not when you are in the Premier League salary. When you consider, like, think about what other 18, 19-year-olds are making in the Premier League that are getting first. Like, as soon as you're on the first team, you're getting at least $5,000. You're not just sitting on your scholarship contract for another year or two.
Starting to think
because they have that kind of money to throw around.
Exactly.
But here's the thing:
10,000 pounds should not be an issue.
$5,000 a week would change our lives.
Yes,
you and I. However, when you're in the clubhouse, when you're in the locker room with a guy who's driving a Bugatti and a guy who's driving the Mercedes wagon and a guy who's driving a Bentley, and only 100 of that model were made. And you've got your $5,000 and you've got your $5,000 a week, and the best you can do is a BMW 5 Series. You still feel like you have to work for it. I would feel like I still have to work for it.
Oh yeah. I'd feel the same way.
But there's a bit, $5,000 and $20,000 are a huge difference, because once you get to $20,000, you can make those stupid purchases. But I don't think he's asking to buy Bentleys yet. I think he's asking to be able to pay for mom's new house. Like, because on a scholarship, he's obviously not doing that.
Doesn't do that.
And then the other thing is, he's actually waiting for us to come back to him with a new deal. So that's X's words. We're waiting. He's waiting on us. The first deal he rejected. So it's all the ball's in our court, as they say. So we'll see what happens with that. We could have done this whole show, and then next week we find out that the second offer, wasn't as low bally, and we always start with a low ball offer because, wow, that's a tongue twister. We always start with a low ball offer because we know who's making those offers.
Yeah.
And that's just what he does. But hopefully we can keep this kid and have two really promising fullbacks.
When was the last time we had a director of football before Julius? Did we ever have one?
I know Scott Duxbury was a director of football in a sense, because he was kind of forced to oversee the whole operation while we were tinkering with administration. I don't know if we had someone under the Icelandics when Alan Kirbishley was manager. I think Alan Kirbishley might have been picking who we were buying. I don't remember anybody in the chat want to remind me, but no, it's always been Sullivan until Husillos. Husillos was the first guy to pull any other strings.
To be honest, I'm never really jealous. So like when I first started watching football, I never got like, I'm the farthest thing from being jealous of big clubs, but that's like the one thing that I always wish West Ham would have just like taken a grip of and just shoot to the moon. Like, let's get a phenomenal director of football and let's just make this team great. But dude, I mean, let's be honest. Sullivan has blown a lot of deals, but I feel like to me, this one would just be a real punch in the gut because it's like after what we've seen from Ngakia, it's like what else can we look forward to what else can we look forward to from the academy or any youngsters we have if we can't pay a guy that put Mane in his pocket alone 3 more good games, 10,000 pounds a week.
Did you see the promotional video with him and Zabaleta?
I didn't.
It was adorable. It was 10 minutes of Zabaleta on a couch with Ngakia watching Ngakia play. And
that was on the West Ham channel, right?
Yeah. And why put that out there? And then pussyfoot around with how much you're going to pay the kid. The other thing is, I don't think a scholarship salary. Now, I'm totally speculating here, but I feel like a scholarship salary doesn't go into the whole salary cap, into the whole financial fair play element of things, right? You have to have a professional contract for it to affect financial fair play. And I know that in the past, some first-team players have been pissed when someone like Arnautovic or Chicharito was making 30, 40, 50,000 more than the next guy. I mean, if you're trying to do what David Moyes says he wants to do, which is to bring in promising championship players, people who are 26 and under exclusively, and that's your approach, you're going to be paying those kids 20, 30K because of the transfer. Because of the transfer. You know, because they might be on 5, 10K at Bordeaux or at Blackpool, wherever, but when they come here, they expect a salary raise. So then again, what are you doing to Ngakia?
Exactly.
Because you know we're going to sign 3 or 4 of those, right? Edmilson Fernandez was probably on nothing when he was in Switzerland. Soon as he gets here, 20K.
Yep.
Right? So, you know,
it's crazy.
It'll be interesting to see how this summer develops and who we choose to sign and if Jeremy stays with us, because it's a shame.
It's just crazy how like things work like that. Like we got to prove. I'm not going to say proven, but we have a hopeful stud coming through the academy who were struggling to pay a decent wage, but like we'll buy someone from Turkey or Italy or France and like boom, 30, 40K.
Yep.
It's just like how I don't know. That's just like not logical to me at all. But they operate on a different scale than we do. So
yeah. And then the interesting thing that X stated about Ngakia, we're going to wrap the show up. We promised a 30-minute show. I know Lucas has to go to work in a little bit, so we're going to just wrap it up here in the next few minutes. But X said that before Ngakia was starting, they were as a team, the whole team was questioning whether they were going to keep him at all, and that he had kind of like a confidence issue, a little bit like Yangana. And then all of a sudden he showed up when Johnson was hurt, and really made a big difference. Well, when all of our right backs were hurt, really.
All 5 of them?
Yeah. And then the last update I had from X is kind of a minimal one, but Moyes is going to be with us next year no matter what. And he's kind of clarified and said that there's no way we're going to make any change there, regardless of when the season starts back up.
Yeah, during this time, there's absolutely no way.
And Sophian asks, are there any shows tonight? Frankly, I wish I knew. But you will know if you follow American Hammers on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, subscribe, and ask for notifications. Turn those on, and you'll know when there's a show. And frequently, we post on Facebook or Instagram when a show is coming. Sometimes you have impromptu shows like this one, and we really appreciate. I think we had almost 30 viewers at one point, which is super cool for a random show in the middle of the day on Saturday. I think the quarantine probably helps with that. But I want to thank everybody in the chat for participating, for really kind of helping the conversation keep going. We appreciate everybody. We appreciate being part of this. Tim and Lee, thank you as always for setting up an incredible fan network, community, really, platform, all those buzzwords that the marketing kids learn. Thank you so much for having us, and we'll be back with another impromptu show maybe next week. Lucas and I will talk, and we'll figure this out, because 30-minute news update. It's a lot of fun to do, a lot of fun to interact with the chat, and we'll hopefully be back next weekend, maybe, if any news comes out, because it's a slow news with the quarantine, of course.
Yep.
All right, come on, you Irons, and DC Irons, shout out, of course.
Yes, of course.
All right.